Hello, everybody. I'm Phil Brandt, President and CEO of AIM Employers Association, and welcome to This Week at Work.
Welcome to This Week at Work, the only show to pack workplace news, practical HR solutions, and timely insights into every 30-minute episode.
We are in a low trust environment as a country, and I think that spills into the workplace as well. The formula for trust really comes down to human behavior. When we don't work on those human behaviors where the personal drives the professional, we're going to have a low trust workplace. When you have a low trust workplace, you're going to have a low engaged workplace. When you have low engagement, you don't have the highest level of productivity.
Brought to you by AIM Employers Association and Ogletree Deacons, live every Thursday morning. This is your opportunity to connect with their experts and ask your burning questions. So what's keeping you up at night? Let's face it together now on This Week at Work.
All right, welcome back, Burt. Good morning. May 1st. I didn't trust this day was going to come. You know what May 1st is, Burt?
I do. It's Missouri Paid Sick Time in Effect Day.
It is. It's in effect day.
Just rolls it right off the tongue, Phil.
I really didn't trust. I'll be honest. I know that's kind of the theme for today, but I trusted that something was going to intervene, and this day would not come to where we would need to implement our policies, even if it was a date that was going to get pushed out. But today we kick off Missouri Paid Sick Leave. Employers I know are still scrambling with this one. It's not easy. What are your thoughts about, where this goes? It's here. You still think there could be some intervention? Any ideas at all?
Yeah, so it's interesting. You like to give me either some compliments or some maybe backhanded compliments.
Are you not happy that I didn't call out how sharp you look today with your tie? And I'm sorry, Bert. I missed my opportunity. But you look really sharp, and that clip-on looks really good. I mean, it looks like a real tie.
Almost does. Almost does. Yeah. So yeah, that's not quite where I was going. I wasn't fishing for a compliment there. I was focusing more on an insult or a backhanded insult, Phil, that you like to give me credit sometimes for being right on my predictions. Well, here's one where I was dead bleep wrong.
That doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, well, I really thought the Missouri Supreme Court was going to intervene on the Missouri Paid Sick Time law. They did establish that they have jurisdiction over certain challenges to the law, but not over a particular challenge to the law. So that could be refiled in a lower state court at some point. And I also thought that the legislature would get there as well. The Democrats very successfully filibustered a House bill that was set to repeal the Missouri Paid Sick Time law in its entirety. They then were able to negotiate and drag out the clock past today, where the law actually takes effect. I want to be careful because Proposition A is already in effect as of January 1 of this year with the minimum wage provision, but the paid sick time provision actually goes into becomes operative today. So so I do still think that there's a good chance that something happens with either repeal of the law in its entirety, or that the Democrats and Republicans continue to negotiate to refine the law. One of the recommendations I had been making to clients and worked with a lot of clients and some of your members on was to implement an interim Missouri paid sick time policy that runs from May 1 of this year through December 31 of this year. To give us sort of some time to comply with the law this year, and then really work over the next few months to make sure all of the company's leave policies work in a coherent and intentional manner in compliance with the law, starting January 1 of next year.
And that's the tough part, is getting all those other policies in alignment. So there you have it. We're May 1st is here. And you know what that means. What happens in a few days, Bert? I mean, you've been
Well,
doing a countdown here. Go
I
ahead.
have. I think Nick scrambled and put together a calendar for us. So if the law goes into effect today and people earn 1 hour for every 30 hours worked, that means they'll have 8 hours worked today, 8 hours worked Friday, 8 hours worked Monday. That's 24. And then once they get about 6 hours into their shift on Tuesday of next week, they're eligible for.
I'm sick. I'm sick.
Well, there you go, Phil. They're
Yeah.
eligible for 1 hour of paid sick time at about, typically maybe 3, 4 o'clock on Tuesday. So, my big question is what will happen Tuesday afternoon of next week? Will people take their 1 hour of paid sick time that they're entitled to, and they, depending on the circumstances, really don't have to give the employer any notice? Or do you think they'll work the full shift on Tuesday and take that first hour on day 5 on Wednesday? What do you think, Phil? What's going to happen?
I think they're going to go for a couple hours short. I'm going to go with a different answer on. They're going to cut Friday short.
Friday. Okay. All right.
Friday, and they're not going to come in late. They're going to cut it short, get an early start on the weekend.
Got it. Well, that's the predictions. Maybe our members will humor us and let us know next. Well, we won't be on next Thursday because you've got a special event coming up, but maybe the following Thursday they'll let us know what happened on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Friday of next week.
Absolutely, yes. No, so speaking of special events, the leadership conference is next Thursday. We will not be on the air because both Bert and I will be there very early, kicking things off. And we're looking forward to seeing 550 of our members. It's going to be a great sold out event. We've talked about it. We won't go back into it now, but looking very forward to that event. And happy you're going to be spending the day with us, Bert.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, Phil. You guys put on a phenomenal event. I just got back from Las Vegas last week for my firm's national seminar, and we had about the same level of attendance. And I have to say that you guys at AIM, your team puts on a great program. It is no wonder it's so well attended. It is AIM's premier event every year. Hope everybody who's on the program has an opportunity to attend, even if they're coming from Florida, Indiana, Illinois, wherever. It is a great program. If you can't be here this year, be here next year.
Yeah, they will be here
that's
from
really
all
nice.
across all those states.
That's sweet, Bert. But what people really want to know is, will Phil and Bert be signing autographs at the show? That's what people really want to know.
I think we'll have a booth, we'll have a table, and Phil and I will do our book signing there. Oh, wait a minute. We haven't written a book, Phil. Never
Haven't
mind.
written a book. Yeah. Well, hold on. I'll have ChatGPT write us up something here real quick. All right. Are we ready to get on with the program? Let's talk about trust. That's why people join today to listen. Trust in the workplace is so difficult, Bert. I mean, we are just in a low trust world. I think about it, and my daughter and I, we really enjoy the debate. She and I have great debate all the time with each other, and neither one of us demonstrate much respect. And we actually had the conversation. She will say something because, she's just finishing with her master's degree, and she's so smart now, right? You know how it is. Now she's got her master's degree. I'm like, well, I've had mine for 20 plus years, so join the club.
Now. She knows it
Right,
all.
but she knows it all, and she's a wonderful young lady, very, very smart. But she goes, Dad, it really offends me that when I tell you something, you don't trust me. And the first thing you do is you pick up your phone and you fact check me. And I think we're just in that world today, right? It's like people tell you things and you hear it and it doesn't settle well with you, and you go, that can't be true. I gotta fact check that.
Phil, it occurs to me we have one listener in particular who loves to fact check you.
Oh, yeah, we do. Yes, we do. Are
I'm
you
waiting
talking
for
about
Dave.
Dave?
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
waiting for Dave to fact check us.
Oh, he's always on that. You are exactly right. We're going to just call him Fact Check Dave. But anyhow, so we're always fact checking each other. Employers and employees are in this great circle of, is that true? Is my pay right? You're talking about pay ranges are one thing. I can see online they're another thing. And it just creates this spiral of distrust because we have so much information available to us, amongst other things. But let's kick it off, Bert. I like to do our here's five questions. Give me the best answer, the one that you like the most. No wrong answers. I just like to keep you in that space of
Even
100%.
better, even better.
Right. Okay.
And I need that after my failed predictions on the Missouri paid sick time law.
When you're 98% right all the time, it's okay. No
All
one
right.
likes someone that's 100% right all the time, Bert. We
Always
want to
like to
know
leave a little room for improvement, Phil.
that's all. And you may not be wrong yet. Something could still intervene.
Yep.
All right, so surveys are showing us trust is significantly lower than our pre-COVID numbers, especially regarding transparency and leadership. How do we combat that? All right, I'm going to give you three choices here. Over communicate during times of change, be upfront about challenges and uncertainties, and share company goals and how employees fit in.
So the answer again is yes.
Yeah, all
These
three, of
these
course.
are all important, but I see these all three of these things as being part of a broader strategy, and I think the answer itself, Phil, really is in the question itself, where you specifically noted that trust is significantly lower than pre-COVID numbers, especially regarding transparency. And I think that's the key word there is transparency. And I think you can achieve uh, these goals of trying to make people trying to increase trust by adopting these strategies that you've laid out here. I think that this is really these are different strategies, ways to get people to trust the company. And when people sort of feel in on things and they believe that what their employer is telling them, and even if the employer ultimately gets something wrong, as long as the employees are part of the dialogue, and you're open and honest and upfront about it, I think that creates understanding and creates trust.
Yep. Hey, I'm going to ask you to check out from Fact Check Dave the comments there, Bert, while I set up this next one. But you're right. I mean, you just did it today. I mean, you were clearly wrong about the Missouri paid sick leave, and you owned it, right?
Yes.
You stepped up and you owned it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. All right. According to the survey data, transparency, as you said, consistency, empathy, and action, leadership behaviors that inspire trust. What are ways to reinforce those behaviors? Host quarterly all hands meetings, encourage leaders to admit mistakes openly, and train managers in emotional intelligence. Which one do you like the most?
Number two. Number two, Phil.
All right. Number two, encourage leaders to admit mistakes openly. I like that one. I really like train managers in emotional intelligence because then number two follows, right? And you say, hey, I didn't quite get it so right. You understand where someone's at. Then you can also share your empathy. So I think one of that one kind of leads to the other two. But when we don't get it right, we just didn't get it right. And
Well,
that's the beginning of trust.
yeah, and that's what I did today, Phil. I didn't get it right, and that's why I jumped on that answer.
Yeah. All right. So number three, hybrid work has impacted trust, and it definitely has. We still see all kinds of mixed data supporting working from home and hybrid work. So it has impacted trust. What are a few guides to promote trust in non-traditional work environments? Setting clear, equitable remote work policies, evaluate employees based on outcomes, not visibility, and recognize contributions publicly regardless of work locations. I'm going to add a third one, or fourth one, Bert. Um, Ask people to just come back to the office. So you got four.
Yeah, those are your choices 1 through 3 are all really good strategies. I'm going to add a fifth one, Phil, and it kind
Yeah.
of tags on with your fourth one that you added there. And the fifth one I'll add there is, and we've talked about it probably dozens of times on the program over the last 5 years now, 4+ years. Uh, Consistency and fairness. Whatever
Yeah.
you do, you got to be consistent and you got to be fair, whether you're requiring employees to come back to work, come back to the office, or not come back to the office. If you don't do it in a consistent and fair manner, you are going to blow the trust of everyone.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I will go with that. All right. So let's go to number 4. Data shows high trust organizations have 50% lower turnover rates. 50% lower turnover rates. People don't trust that, Bert. I can tell you that right now because if they trusted that, they would invest more to get to a high trust environment.
Right.
What actions can be taken to recognize the accomplishments of a high trust environment? Measure trust annually via surveys, address breaches of trust immediately, foster peer-to-peer recognition programs.
Yeah, I think 1 and 2 there are the two better strategies. Measuring trust annually via surveys. I think again, you want to make sure employees feel like they have a voice in the workplace. And number 2, address breaches of trust immediately. Uh, Quick, visible action when trust is broken prevents cynicism and shows employees that leadership is serious about integrity. It's kind of along the same lines, Phil. There's an old saying, you want to avoid overworking your best employees.
Mm,
And I think this is somewhat similar, that when your best employees, if they don't see accountability for people who are breaching the company's trust, I think that's a negative on your that's negative to the best employees, and they start losing trust in the company that they're going to hold people accountable, and they start to look at their job as, why am I working so hard? Why am I trying so hard? When the company doesn't hold people accountable, including holding themselves accountable if they breach trust.
yeah, absolutely. And just admit it, own it, as you were saying earlier. I like the survey approach, and one is because it allows people to have their voice, particularly often when you're doing surveys, particularly for the first time, you kind of already have a low trust environment, or at least you're hoping to improve your trust, and therefore some people don't have high trust just yet. And for that reason, they can trust that the survey is going to be confidential when it's run by an outside agency. And you're allowed, that's going to allow you to get some feedback that maybe you otherwise may not get, just due to the levels of trust that exist at that time. So I do like the survey element of that. All right,
Well,
last question, because I want to
and Phil,
go
real
ahead, Bert.
quickly, in the chat, somebody did ask, how do you survey employees about trust without making them feel unsafe about responding? And I think you kind
You
of just answered the
put their
question.
name on it.
I think you kind of
You write their name on it, you pass it out, and then when they give it back, you post it on the website.
great
But
way to
no,
build trust.
yeah, and you, yes, but no, I think the way you do that is with confidentiality. I hear a lot of employers say, well, we like to do that ourselves. We use SurveyMonkey, and so on. And I think there's no doubt when we walk into an environment, they've been working with doing surveys, but doing them themselves. Every single time, not in 13 years, Bert, have I ever seen where we don't get a better result for that organization with more information than they usually are used to getting. And I just think, when people are giving feedback, they want to know that it can be confidential. And really, it does come down to trust. Very few people want to put their name on it, but here's where they do put their name on it when we go into focus groups, right? So when we go into a focus group and we have maybe 10, 15 people in a focus group environment following a survey, and we share a question, and then we share some of the generalizations of the response. Employees will then raise their hand and say, well, I'll tell you what I did is I said X, and here's why I meant that. And that allows us to dig in. And that's the real value of those focus groups. And people do step up and own it because now they're starting to see that the survey was taken very seriously. It's done by an outside group. My management doesn't know necessarily what I've said, and they start to open up. And once you get to that point, you can get some of the results that we see members get all the time. I'll just share, I've shared this one right here, 125% in 1 year on communication improvement. That's a high trust environment. 125% in communication improvement. And communication is usually one of those lowest scoring areas of a survey. So that just goes to show it can happen when you put focus to it. I'll get off my soapbox. All right. Last question here, Burt. When early warning signs of eroding trust are witnessed, increased complaints of communication gaps, favoritism, inconsistencies, what can be done to turn things around? Monitor open-ended survey responses closely, create feedback loops where employees see their input and acted upon, and conduct confidential stay interviews quarterly. 3 answers. You can give your own one here, Burt. I don't know if I like any of those.
Yeah, I think that when there's early warning signs of eroding trust, open communication, quick communication, and transparent communication is the best approach there. You don't want things to foster. You don't want the rumor mill to get out of control. And so I think it's sort of having a rapid response to this. If you see these early warning signs of eroding trust, you want to turn that ship around before things get out of hand. So I think rapid and transparent communication and being upfront about it, why you're doing this, what you're seeing, and why this is a concern. And again, just kind of be open and honest about it.
Yeah, trust. I mean, when we get really serious about it, it's a fundamental issue. And most workplaces even have something about trust in their values, right? So what's the values of the organization? We got our mission, vision, values. There's always something in there about trust and respect, and you can't necessarily have one without the other, probably. And if that's the case, then jump on it. Get on it right now. All right. Well, let me just remind our listeners, if you are interested, we do have resolving conflict in the workplace coming up on May 21st. That is a program that is really talking about trust and the breakdown of trust and why do we have conflict and what we can do to improve that. It's a fantastic program to start your journey in rebuilding trust in the workplace. That, again, is on May 21st. You can sign up for that on the AIM website. Burt, are you ready for Lawyer on the Clock?
I'm ready, Phil.
Nick, pull that lever.
Curious about a case that could wreck your workplace? Lucky for you, we have a lawyer on the clock.
So, Phil, we got, I have my normal lineup of 3 topics today. So some are a little bit more of a surprise than others. And one I specifically didn't prep you for pre-program because I want to get your live reaction to it when I share that one.
All right. Well, you got my interest.
All right.
I don't know if I trust you here, but I'm going to go with it for a little bit.
All right. So the first one is in kind of a surprise move in recent days, the EEOC has announced tentative deadlines for EEO-1 reports. Yes, even after Trump signed an executive order. Specifically, it was Executive Order 14168, which was entitled Defending Women from Gender Ideology Extremism and Restoring Biological Trust to the Federal Government. And in that executive order, it largely repealed Executive Order 246 that had been in place for quite some time, for decades. And everybody thought at that point that the EEO-1 reports were going to go away. Well, somebody at the EEOC, I don't know at what level, but they recently filed with the Office of Management and Budget that they are moving forward with the collection of 2024 employment data. The tentative filing period for 2024 EEO1 reports will begin on May 20, and it will close at 11 p.m. Eastern on June 24. The EEOC has a proposed instruction booklet. It looks very similar to the 2020 to the prior year's instruction booklet, and it says employers are strongly advised to check the site for updates regarding the filing cycle as well as the data collection itself. Something tells me that somebody above whoever implemented this may step in at some point. But again, I want to make it clear that as of now, the EEOC is going to be collecting EEO1 data again. So more surprising, or really surprisingly, the EEOC is going to continue the requirement that certain federal contractors file the EEO1 report. We all remember generally that all employers with 100 or more employees are required to file the EEO1 report annually. And then some federal contractors with 50 or more employees have also been covered by the filing obligations. And so it's a little surprising that these rules were issued. We'll see what happens.
I find these things funny, right? How politics work, and we probably don't have many politicians listening to this podcast, but we definitely have a lot of business leaders. And I would bet we don't have many, if any, business leaders that would have heard their boss say, we are not going to do this. And then they go away and purposely do it.
Yep.
I just find that to be interesting. I mean, if at a minimum you're going to walk over and knock on the door and go, hey boss, the EEO1 report, are we going to do that or not?
Right.
Just quite interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's the first one. So employers beware of that obligation is out there, and it's got a pretty quick deadline. Second one I want to chat about, Phil, and some of your questions on trusts kind of were alluding to this, but I read an article just in the last couple of days that was talking about ADA requests being up pretty dramatically in light of return to office mandates. And in particular, remote work ADA requests are way up. We know that, we know, and you said, you want to get people back to work. And we know that over the last few years, you're not alone. Companies around the world, around the country have been insisting on getting employers back to the office. And in response to that, a lot of remote workers have done what they can to fight back against returning to work. There's some companies where petitions have been filed. There's some companies where employees have walked out. And I think that this huge influx of ADA requests that we're really seeing in the last few years really reflects employees pushing back against increasing return to office mandates. And ADA requests are up for a second year in a row, according to a report from a company called Absence Soft.
That's a great name, Absence Soft. Yeah, they're Absence. Yeah, okay.
They say that 60% of HR professionals have stated that they've seen an increase in the last 2 years, and even more substantially, of those that said they saw an increase, 62% said that the increase of ADA requests from remote workers was up by more than 21%. The most common accommodation was remote work in and of itself. 51% of the requests specifically asked to work from home. And on top of that, 46% were requesting intermittent leave or reduced schedules if they were forced to return to work. So just kind of remind yourself, a reminder to employers out there, remote work, it can be covered by the ADA, and you need to manage that appropriately. And again, I would say the ideas of consistency and fairness are very, very important. You want to have that reasonable accommodation, interactive process discussion with the employees to see if the employer can make some sort of an accommodation. And oftentimes an employer might not be able to accommodate, but you got to go through that process.
Yeah, absolutely. And tread carefully in making those decisions, because they can have systemic impacts on the rest of the workforce at times. Yeah.
All right, Phil, one more, and I know we're up against the clock here, but I want to see your reaction to this. And read an article. This might fall into the probably not a good idea in the workplace category. You know, we do this from time to time. And this one I just heard about that an employee was hospitalized and diagnosed with a failed pancreas after a investment bank forced the employee to work regularly 110-hour work weeks.
110-hour work weeks?
Yes, yes. That's a lot. That's a hefty work week. I only do that when I'm in trial.
Whoa, 110-hour work weeks. I mean, first, I guess I would say, now that depends. 110-hour work week working from home remotely, or 110-hour work week working from the office. But that, in any condition, is a formula for trouble.
Yeah, the employee said that the employee was assigned 20-hour work days day after day, and were scolded if the employee and other employees left their desks after pulling an all-nighter. This followed a spate of incidents in the last few years. Another bank employee of a different company died after they were made to work as many as 100 hours per week. Somebody had died over a drug overdose. A different employee had suffered a blood clot. Just again, if you're an employer,
that's a little extreme. It's funny that you say that, because just last night I was reading about the working conditions on an oil rig that's out at sea.
Mhm.
And when you go out there, you're usually out there for weeks at a time, living and sleeping and, eating. Everything's on that oil rig. I don't know exactly what that's called, but you're out there, right? You don't just go every day and come back every day. You get dropped off, you stay there. And often it was, 12 to 18-hour work days. Basically you sleep and work, and that's really about it. So I don't know what kind of work environment. One of them you said was an investment firm, but there are places where that must exist. And I tell you what, they're not members of AIM, that's for sure. We would definitely advise against that.
I think as far as building trust in the workplace, having your employees work 110-hour work weeks, week after week, and scolding them if they left their desks after pulling an all-nighter, probably not the best way to build trust with your employees.
Yeah, no, I would agree. All right, Burt. Well, I've got 2 of my 30 hours in before I earn my hour off with sick leave today already. So I'm along my way here for earning my first hour of sick leave. But I just want to say thanks for joining the program. I can't wait to see you next week at the conference, as well as 550 of our other members and some of your clients for sure over there. I know you got a table full. We appreciate that. And until then, we will see you in 2 weeks back here at 7:30 Central Time. Take care. Go out and be good to somebody.
Thank you once again for tuning in to This Week at Work. If you enjoy the show, please like it, share it, and make sure it's on your calendar. If you're an on-demand viewer, don't forget you can be part of the show by watching live at 7:30 a.m. Central every Thursday morning, when you can get your burning questions answered by using the question mark icon to the right of the player. In fact, you can ask a question now. Head over to aimea.org. Under Member Resources, you'll find This Week at Work. Click Listen Live to register for our next episode and submit a question. Or follow or subscribe wherever you get your news and entertainment. We'll see you next week when we discuss what's happening this week at work.